Well, we've given it a nice stretch till 6 minutes past the hour. My name is Liz Beneski, and I'm the Chief Executive of AmCham Abu Dhabi. And welcome to our program with Sdara. Just the usual rules. Keep yourself muted unless speaking. Please hold your questions and throw them in that chat room, and we'll get to all the Q&A plenty of time at the end of the show. And the webinar will be recorded and shared after the webinar. So for those of you who are watching us post-event, greetings, and you can always send us an email for any questions for Sdara that you might have. It's an absolute pleasure to introduce Dr. Peter Stojnanov and Talib Hassim. They've become like my brothers on a very amazing offer called AD100X, which is about empowering people in their futures. And I feel very impassioned on it, and I hope you will as well after hearing their presentation. Peter and Talib, the floor is yours.
There we go. Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody for joining us. I'm just going to, how are we doing? Okay, excellent. Hopefully you can all see the screen. Can I get a confirmation? Okay. Yep, fantastic. So by way of introduction, let's get straight to the meat of it. So I'll introduce Talib. Talib's a specialist in Emiratization for the past 13 years, but I'll throw it to him. Talib, could you give us an introduction?
Yes. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Liz, thank you for the introduction. To unmute me.
Okay, there we go.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Liz, thank you for the introduction. I'd like to thank the American Chamber of Commerce for hosting us today and organizing this session with you. It is my pleasure. Just a quick introduction about myself. My name is Talib Hassim. I'm the Managing Director of TBH Consultancy, which is a company focused on nationalization. And I've been in this space for the last 13 years. And what we've been doing is work with job seekers as well as employers towards finding ways that are strategic, innovative in solving this challenge of unemployment of local talent. Pleasure to be here with you. Peter?
Just leave it on. Hopefully you can all hear me. So by way of introduction, my name is Peter. Actually, can you mute? There we go. And so my specialty is in corporate innovation. And I've been also in talent development for the past 15 years. My background is actually in quantum physics. So I've taken quite an interesting turn in my career. And what is really interesting about the work that we're doing together with Talib in Sdara and in how that's manifesting itself in AD100X is this idea of developing talent to solve the challenges of the future. They had a future strategy at Black, which is a global design and creative agency. And we have offices in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, in Copenhagen, and Washington, DC. When we came together with Talib, it was actually about 5 years ago. And we were looking at this interesting challenge with all of the talk that's happening about the UAE and its move into the future and wanting to lead that space. We've been grappling with this question for the last 5 years. And the question really is this question. What if we recruited 100 talented nationals and armed them with future skills and relevant experience to be able to deliver immediate impact? And so what we've done is, together with AmCham and a partner that we'll be introducing in this webinar, we have come together to form AD100X, which is a national talent initiative to attract, to activate, and to accelerate 100 of the most talented nationals in roles at leading companies to deliver immediate impact in the span of 100 days. And so between ourselves, between AmCham and between a department within the Abu Dhabi government. We're really looking at creating a mechanism to bring together the government, the private sector and multinational corporations in particular, and top national talent to create the solution. And so that's why we've labeled it 100 nationals, 100 days to create 100x impact. It's called AD100X, so let's learn a little bit more about it. So in terms of the partnerships, as I mentioned, we have AmCham on board, and as Liz mentioned, we've been working very closely together in recent times to accelerate all of this. And we're very glad to have AmCham on part. And also remember that this is part of the multi-nation business continuity task force. So we're also looking towards the 38 other business councils and also the partner companies who can all get involved behind this initiative. So we have AmCham and the multi-nation business continuity task force on one side. And we're also very happy to announce that just in the last few days, it's something that we've been working on. We also happen to have the Human Resources Authority in a strategic partnership together with us. And this, as you might imagine, has been an incredibly exciting development. So we'll be talking more about that as well. What I'd like to do at this point, although we'll continue, if you'd like to register your interest as a partner of AD100X, we'll be flashing up this QR code. But if you'd like to, you can just point your phone on the camera setting. We'll just leave this up for 10 seconds. And that'll point you to our employers registration portal. So you'll be able to register your interest there. And it's also sdara.co/employers. I'll just leave that for 5 seconds and then we'll go on with the rest of it. Okay. We'll come back to that again. So Talib, do you want to run us through what really the motive of all of this is?
Great, thank you, Peter. So as Peter mentioned, Sdara really is a product of the partnership between both our companies, TBH Consultancy and Black. And in fact, me and Peter personally have been really looking at this problem of nationalization and trying to figure out how can we solve it. So the whole concept of Sdara is really a product of 5 years of experimenting, learning, and testing out on employers. But the question that always comes up, and the key question we try to address, is why now? Why look at launching AD100X now? And from our conversations with our partners, with the American Chamber of Commerce, as well as the Human Resource Authority, who are extremely excited and keen to get this up and running immediately from this last quarter of 2020, there are 3 key reasons. The first reason really is that the role of job creation in boosting market confidence and as well as confidence in community. So we're all aware of the prevalent uncertainties that is going on around the world. And the UAE, being part of the global community, is not immune to this. However, what we've seen is there is keenness from the government to mitigate the effects of these uncertainties. And these activities and these initiatives were declared through an ambitious goal, and that is to become the fastest recovering economy post-COVID-19. I'm sure you're aware of this. Now, job creation as a fact truly is one of the most important factors to boost confidence in market as well as in community. So that is the first reason why we're really keen on launching AD100X along with our partners going forward at the end of 2020 towards 2021. So that is the first reason. The second reason is Ghadan 21. And there's an opportunity here through the AD100X to contribute to an important pillar of Ghadan 21's strategic initiatives, which is the employment of 10,000 nationals through the year 2021. Now, Ghadan 21, as you are well aware of, is an Abu Dhabi government strategic initiative that was really the personal vision of Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi. And what we see here and during our discussions with the Human Resource Authority is that through AD100X, not only do we aim to contribute and play a role in basically achieving the employment of 10,000 nationals, But really importantly, and to this conversation today, is to find ways through AD100X to strategically position our industry partners, who are you, in order to benefit strategically from AD100X and subsequently Ghadan 21. We're going to discuss this at this point later during the presentation. The third reason why we're doing this now is this is really the right moment. I mean, we're at a time where we feel that all stakeholders of nationalization are more prepared to speak the same language. This is something I've personally been advocating, and that is, in order to really drive nationalization in the private sector, we need to speak the language of the private sector. And this is something I've been driving and having conversations with government in order to understand. And from our conversations, we're seeing now more than ever, there is this readiness from the different stakeholders to approach nationalization in a pragmatic way, and a way that is value adding and is a win-win for all parties. So for example, when we're speaking with job seekers, we're now seeing an increased readiness from job seekers to work in the private sector and have global careers. We're also seeing, when we speak to the government realizes that in order to encourage private sector participation in nationalization, they will have to acknowledge that participation and reward it in one way or the other. AD100X really aims to achieve that goal. And finally, when we're speaking to community and what we're seeing from the community, who is one of the key influencers when it comes to career choices of Emirati youth, is that the community now is more open for national youth to play a role in the global economy and work in the private sector. So these are really the three reasons why we think and we believe that AD100X, this is the right moment for AD100X to really launch.
Excellent.
Muted. So, so the question here is, what role does Sdara play in the bigger scheme of things, rather, and not only as a platform to facilitate this process of employment? The role that we're playing, we mentioned that we've developed through 5 years of learning and experiencing and now conversating with the private sector and all stakeholders. We believe we've developed a nationalization process that is value adding and that can benefit everyone. And what we're doing in our role as in the private sector or members of the private sector is we are having conversations, just like the conversations we're having with you today. We're having conversations with academia, we're having conversations with government in order to influence them towards this vision of a more practical and value-adding nationalization process. So our role is really to influence the different stakeholders and look at adopting a more effective nationalization. So this means that Sdara is not just a recruitment platform. And this was a question that was posed to me, you know, is Sdara a recruitment platform, and why such an approach? You know, Sdara is not only a recruitment platform. The way we position ourselves is that we are actually a strategic placement and organizational positioning platform. So strategic placement of local talent in your organization so that they can deliver impact and value, but also looking at organization, positioning your organization in a way that it is seen as a national employer of choice. So that is really the goal that really drives Sdara and the Sdara process. And that is to be able to achieve and develop a pipeline of top national talent of choice who will work in organizations that will potentially become national employers of choice. So that is really the role Sdara plays, not just as a platform, but actually as an influencer and a strategic positioning tool.
Thank you so much, Talib. And as we switch over. So really this all plays a part of the 3 phases, and we'll be showing those to you in terms of what this AD100X timeline is going to look like. But it really kicks off in 3 phases. And as I mentioned before, attract, activate, accelerate. So in phase 1, we're going to spend around a third of those 100 days working to attract top talent And we're going to do that in a two-pronged strategy. So the first one is going to be that AD100X is going to play a role out there in the media, across social media, of course, and all of the platforms where that top talent resides. And we're going to dynamically recruit that talent specifically for this purpose. So we're going to seek out the top nationals and select them and pipeline them. Of course, on the other side, we'll be working with our industry partners who come onto this platform and working with them to develop them as national employers of choice. See, most of the companies that are represented across these multi-nation, across these business councils, perhaps are household names, but they're not regarded at the moment as national employers of choice. So that is, whilst we might recognize them for the products and services that they offer, what we perhaps are not recognizing is the fact that they are actually ideal places where young Emiratis in that top talent group that might consider as future employers. So as I said, that two-pronged strategy to work on both of those angles. And of course, we have those capabilities within the team to be able to select and recruit that talent, and also secondly, to be able to position companies. The next one is about activation. So the way that we do this is we actually take the very challenges that the country itself is going through in the present and moving that into the future. And we're inspired heavily by the Abu Dhabi Economic Vision 2030. In fact, in previous engagements, we've actually used that as a roadmap to give us an idea of what the current and future challenges of the country itself are. And what we do is map those to organizational challenges so that when the young people actually come in as part of the onboarding and placement process, they'll actually be solving industry challenges that are specific to that organization. And so you imagine if you bring along line managers and bring along your HR teams, you'll actually be able to see not only the young people in action, but you'll also be able to get to see them solving your very challenges. So that's very exciting and a different part of how we do activation. And the third part then is the acceleration process. So obviously with my background and Talib's background, what we've developed is a very unique mechanism on actually reframing an existing narrative. And that is that young people take some time, perhaps 6 to 12 months before they actually begin to add value to the organization. We believe that that's a stale narrative. And in fact, young people, because of the fact that they don't have subject matter expertise perhaps in your organization, could bring a very different view to the organization and identify pockets of innovation and impact creation. And so we've shown fairly robustly now over a number of iterations of this kind that young people joining the organization can actually bring and deliver real impact to it in tangible, deliverable results, which we can measure and actually show on our bottom line for that organization. So as we move forward, we just wanted to give you an idea of what it would actually look like. So AD100X is being powered by the Sdara platform. And so what that means is that every company joining us will actually have a portal or a microsite within the Sdara platform. And so you can see here for the Acme manufacturing company, we've got a young gentleman who's been recruited by them. So each person will actually have a unique login page. And then as they log in, they'll be able to show here, for example, for the Acme manufacturing company, we have here that obviously as a manufacturing company, their interest is in the future of manufacturing, both in the UAE and beyond. And so we have a customized narrative that's separate for every one of the companies as part of the AD100X platform. And secondly, that they'll be able to have an experience that is brand consistent. So from the very moment that the young candidates are joining this AD100X program, and as we're pipelining them into the various companies based on the competencies and capabilities that are required, what will actually happen then is that their experience on the website will be reflective of the brand of that organization. And so that's really a very comprehensive way that we're working on this. So for the next part, what we'd like you to do is just look at this, just bring your attention to this timeline. So as I said, attract, activate, and accelerate. So we have a comprehensive timeline of activities that will be running through over those 3 phases. And we hope to obviously finish those over the course of the 100 days. And then to be able to report the story during and after it's told. And as you might imagine, 100 talents, 100x impact over 100 days is quite a story that we'll be able to tell together. And the outcomes for companies really is across a number of points, and I'll just quickly go through these quickfire. But really the whole point is for companies to be able to reshape their narratives as national employers of choice. And again, to come back to a point that I made earlier, one of the challenges here is that companies are simply not seen as national employers, where they really can be if correctly positioned. And that's something that we're more than capable of performing as part of this process. The next one is to actually leverage on the possibilities of hiring national talent and all of those positive possibilities, like harnessing local insights, for example. And then to create new profit centers and accelerate onboarding. The Capstone projects that the students were developing over the course of the Accelerator program, which is in the 3rd month, are actually onboarding programs that deliver real value and real impact to the organization. And one important point that we're asked is, does this program through Sdara and through AD100X, does it contribute to my ICV, so in-country value, and offset requirements? And we're happy to report, to say this categorically, that we have the support as a strategic partner of the Human Resources Authority. And so these programs will count towards ICV and offset accreditation. We're working out the details of that, but we actually have a thumbs up and a tacit approval from that. So we're very excited to be able to report that to all of you. And again, in being able to do this in a way, Talib and I both believe that we've really rethought this and turned a lot of existing paradigms on their head, and done so in a way that's win-win-win for everybody, for the government, for yourselves as industry partners, and also for the young job seekers. And finally, to really, in being part of this initiative, to be at the forefront of success, we are, of course, in our capabilities, willing to put together and share the stories and the narratives that we're creating, and that'll be done over both local and international media. And we really are looking forward to share the story together with our government sector partners, and of course with you as our industry partners, to share the story of this new narrative as it unfolds. We're really excited about that. Talib, do you want to take us through the different partnerships?
Okay, so thank you, Peter. So the different partnerships that we have, and we're more than happy to have one-on-one conversations on the different partnerships. I will skim through these very quickly. The way Sdara works is, and the AD100X initiative works, is we have different categories of partnerships. We have gold partners, and gold partners basically benefit from everything from putting together where we develop the National Employer of Choice strategy, look at implementing the communication strategy with them, continually engage talent, pipeline talent for them. Another benefit that we do, and this is where we differentiate ourselves from other platforms, is we work with the employer to basically understand their business and co-create case studies. And these are the case studies which will become the capstone projects for the local talent through the different processes that they will be at. So part of that is also pipelining and selection of best candidates, assessments of the candidates, and ultimately and finally, the candidates who are selected will be part of the Future Skills Virtual Accelerator program. Now, this is the benefits the gold partner will avail by joining the AD100X. Moving on to the platinum partner. Now, the platinum partner, as you can see, there's a lot of benefits the platinum partner can access by becoming part of the AD100X. So besides everything that I've mentioned, a key feature here is basically looking at where we work using our expertise in strategic positioning and producing publications, interviews, and articles that put your organization in positive light and position you as a national employer of choice. We also custom the activation events to your case studies as well. And in the platform itself, so we have a digital platform. We bespoke your employer brand. We bespoke and tailor-make your employer page to tell your story and narrate it, whether it is to the talent pool or through the community in the UAE, including our government partners. The other partnership mode for AD100X, if we can move to.
Sure. I'll run through this one. So really to look at it just across the three spectrums that we'll be operating together. The first one, of course, as Talib mentioned, is media campaigns. And we've said this now, and I think you're getting the point that as important as what we're doing is, equally important, we believe, is the story that we tell about it. And so what we do here in an effort really to bring value to this venture is this will enable us to reach out to the young people that we'd like to bring on board for this, to the young nationals that we're wanting to get excited about this initiative, to be part of the AD100X, and to be one of the 100 who will be finally selected and participating in this program. And so that'll involve attraction campaigns, of course, across national and international media, as we mentioned, and digital campaigns and engagement with major universities, which I can happily report because I found out about it over the last couple of weeks. Talib's already been looking into. So we have major universities very, very excited to be part of this process and willing to bring this to the students who will be, the students and young people who are in the process of job seeking. And of course, the key benefits there, the association with the AD100X program and the association with the federal government partners, and access to the Sdara platform, as Talib mentioned, shaping the unique narratives for each one of our industry partners and working on tailor-made messages and employer brands. Moving on there to the second part, the activation events. So obviously, to be a part of those live activation events, doing it in the unique way that we do really means that during the pipelining process, your organizations will have the chance to really learn more about the young candidates that we have, to learn more about how they can potentially engage, and to be able also to select out of the 100. So we're really excited about that. Now, we're very prescriptive about how we actually select the talent. So we've developed our own qualitative and quantitative assessments, and we have rubrics that are based, as mentioned here, on the World Economic Forum 10 Skills of the Future, which we use as an example. And also a lot of our work, because this will be for Abu Dhabi AD100X, we're using the Abu Dhabi Economic Vision 2030 as something of a framework for actually working on that. So the activation day programs that are relevant and the possibility to engage with talent as it's being pipelined, we think is of huge benefit to industry partners. And finally, for the Future Skills Accelerator, it's a 4-week program. So part of that onboarding process will consist of live modules. And Talib and myself and our broader teams will be doing that personally. We'd love to get engaged with these young people and also to work with them directly to be able to develop that talent. And I'll be working also with our broader teams. And as Talib mentioned, the industry relevant capstone challenges are really where this program sets itself apart. And this is where, again, this narrative shifts from coming on board in the organization and moving from not creating any value to actually coming on board and creating value as part of the onboarding process. And for Platinum Pass partners, we're looking at speciality tracks where we'll actually develop industry-specific capabilities and competencies. So you might imagine, for example, with some of our aerospace and defense partners, that there are very specific engineering competencies that they would like to tap into, which is an example of some of the things that we're working on. And to give you an idea, this is what the campaign is going to look like. So as we populate it with our industry partners as they come on board, this is an example of what you'll be looking at. Now, ACMECO features quite prominently. These might be some recognized brands that have been rebranded as ACMECO. And this is just to give you an idea of what that might look like as part of this broader campaign, which we're really excited to bring forward. And we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for your attention. And what we'd like to do, if there are questions from the audience, if we can invite those, and we're happy to try and answer them. If either we can get them spoken, or if we can get them written down, we'll just leave that up here. If you'd like to find out more information, the website is sdara.co/employers, or you can simply open up your camera app on your telephone, and this will come straight up. So yeah, we'll leave it at that point. We'll leave this on the screen and invite some questions if anybody has them. If you'd like to just unmute and go for it. Okay, let me see. So, Zoom. Shurat, if you're there and there are some questions, I don't know if I can actually see them at the moment. Could you read out some of them? Hopefully we can address them.
So far, I don't see any questions.
No worries.
Yeah.
Understood. If there are any questions, again, if you see on the screen there, you can reach out to us. I, of course, have the interesting gift of this interesting spelling of my name. So it's P-E-T-A-R. And if you'd like to send us an email, it's petar@sdara.co. And for my colleague Talib, it's talib@sdara.co. Talib?
Yes, I also want to add something while we wait for questions, just a note, and this is from the conversation we had the last time with the American Chamber of Commerce Office Subcommittee, and I believe it was Liz who touched on the point of the idea of aligning what we're doing with the career fair concept. And if you think of AD100X, and if you just take a step back, we usually have career fairs in Dubai and the different Emirates, but because of COVID-19, what has happened is a lot of these career fairs and events naturally have been postponed and pushed forward to 2021. Tawdeef in Abu Dhabi or the Careers UAE in Dubai. What I see AD100X, besides everything else, it's an opportunity to have a private sector-led career campaign, so to speak, with an aim to create employment among nationals. Now, the whole career concept, and the best way I could describe AD100X is a career fair on steroids, because basically what we're doing is we are condensing the whole process and taking away the work that the talent acquisition, the line managers, and the L&D department would have to do throughout 6 months to a year. And in 100 days, we're condensing that process in order to accelerate the employability and employment of nationals. The activation event, and further to that, we are disrupting the process. The activation event, Peter has explained, is really our way of understanding, based on observation, the normal career fair events is more of a walk-in interview open day. What we try to do here is turn the whole process upside its head and make and use a language young nationals understand modern workplace requires, which is the language of brainstorming and problem solving immediate or future problems organizations or the market faces. And we do all of that in 100 days. So this is an opportunity, the way we see it. And our partners in the Human Resource Authority and American Chamber of Commerce sees this as an opportunity for the private sector now to proactively take a step in terms of creation of jobs for nationals. And I just wanted to highlight that point because that is what I think, from my observation and being in the ranks of the unemployed and then joining the private sector and then working with job seekers, I've seen that the whole process of nationalization has holes, and what we're trying to do is plug those holes the best way we can through this platform. So that is, sorry, that is the last thing I can say. Peter, up to you.
Yeah, can you just mute? Excellent. So from that point, I've just been conferring with our colleagues at AmCham Abu Dhabi. It seems that there aren't any questions. I can say that either we've gone completely under the radar or we've blown the minds of so many people. But I'm sure that it's exciting also for our industry partners. We're looking forward to engaging with all of you. Please do feel free again to scan the QR code as you see it. That'll take you to our employer registration portal. And AD100X, of course, being powered by Sdara, we have all of that in our backend. So we'll use that information to get in touch with you and to talk more about the various programs that we offer, the gold and platinum sponsorship and what the commercials are on all of those. We'd love to get you guys on board. We're really excited, and so we'll leave it there. From us, it was a pleasure, and we look forward to getting in touch. I'll throw back to the team at AmCham Abu Dhabi now, and please share the screen. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much. Shurat, would you like to